I'm going first. Eli will be going last. He has a briefcase. I don't know what's in it, but look forward to that. I'm going to read 2 excerpts. April. April liked mangoes. She liked them so much that she would sometimes drive to the grocery store with the specific purpose of buying 1 mango. She also liked music. She liked the sculptural rhythms of songs when they melded with her brain, and she liked it even more how sometimes she could find words in the songs that were important to her. She liked picking all of those songs out and then putting them on playlists when they had a particular theme in common. Then she would order the songs according to some method of which I was not aware. She would spend hours making a playlist, and when it was made, she would only listen to the songs in that order. Then she synced her iPod with all these playlists, and she would listen to the thing when she rode the metro, so she didn't have to pay attention to the travel, and when she went around throughout the day, so she didn't really have to pay attention to the world around her. April also had a thing about lying. She liked it. She would make up stories about her childhood and how everything had occurred in this old Victorian house she said she grew up in. Sometimes her father was an astronaut, other times he was a pastry shop owner or a woodsmith. I never really could keep track. But I didn't tell her that. I kept it going because she was nice enough. I also didn't mind that much when she was a flake because I knew she had her problems. If she wasn't feeling well enough, I said fine and left it alone for a bit, and maybe called her a few days later asking her about her feelings. Now you guys are getting it. I'm all right, I feel well enough. That's nice. If I had to guess, I would probably say you felt well enough. I mean, if I had to guess how you felt right now. Oh, thanks. Well, listen, if you feel well enough, maybe we could go out tonight. We haven't seen each other in a while now, and I'd like to get an update. And then she would say that joke she always made when she wanted things to be clipped, which was, hang up and try again, Michael. So I would call her back and talk to her about her feelings and be sincere and stuff, and then she would give in and we would go out. We went through this cycle a couple of times, and I put up with it well enough, and it was fine. She had her own complaints about me, so I figured we were about equal. But the line got me. She brought up the Victorian house a lot. It was like a tumor. There were so many different stories about her father. And on top of that, the Victorian house got to be pretty extensive. It never changed like her father did, but I could see it the more she told me about it. It was so big. The ceilings must have been 12 feet tall. And the windows, they were red stained glass windows. It bugged me more to think about it when I hadn't seen her for a couple of days, but I guess that was her world and I had mine. I worked as a scheduler for a congressman, and I liked it well enough. April didn't, but April was one of those sappy types. She could have been a social worker, but she was a veterinarian's assistant, so I knew her political views weren't really that developed. I knew it better than her, how it was, the way the world worked. Anyway, her complaints didn't amount to much. I had to be practical, and she could never really take to that for too long. So I went about my job like anyone who has a job has to. I made sure people knew my boss was a busy man accomplishing a hell of a lot, and I let them know how when their meeting got pushed around, it was really a big deal. That's the end of the first excerpt. Second excerpt. There's an argument in between, that's all I'll say. No watch. April stole it. On the metro. Next stop, next stop, next stop, next stop. On the metro. Blue line to Largo Town Center. Blue line to Largo Town Center. Next stop, Pentagon City. Pentagon City, doors opening, doors closing. Blue line to Largo Town Center. Next stop, Pentagon. Next stop, Arlington Cemetery. Next stop, Roslyn. Next stop, Foggy Bottom. Next stop, Farragut West. Next stop, next stop, next stop, next stop. In and out and in. To April, to the metro, to before April. To before April. You met them before her. You met him, the street musician, and before him, you met the veteran. Him, the veteran, he with the ghostly eyes. Eyes no longer white, but a light blue tint in the back of each. And him and you and the metro car. And how do you get to Reagan Airport? And the other man turns away, and everyone turning away, and you and the map, and point and tell. And then sit down a row between you. And then talk, 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 talk. I have to pick up my brother at the airport, he says. Oh, I say. I've been lost in this metro all day. The eyes. Oh, I don't understand this metro, you know. I fought in Vietnam, you know, and I come back, and you expect me to understand this metro. Oh, my mother died last night. Oh, I can't understand this metro. I'm a retired vet, you know. Oh, my mother died last night. Oh, I'm a retired vet, you know. I fought in the war, and they leave me on the street, the government. And it's not right, you know. I served my country. It's not right. I served my country, and I should be able to pay my medical bills. You're right. It's not right. My mother died last night. Tears. Yeah. And we don't need to be fighting this war. I know what it's like for them out there in Iraq. And I know we don't need to be fighting this war. Nod. It's all about oil, you know. Bush and Cheney, they just want oil. You move closer to the row directly behind him. Yeah. My mother died last night. The transfer station. This is your stop. Get off and transfer to the yellow line. Bless your soul. Thank you. Then you wait for him to get off, and you get off too. You see him talking to a guard in the distance as he waves his hands in the air, and you get on the next train. Next up is Mona Awad.